Hi guys, today I want to make for you all white bread or a loaf of white bread. Now, so for this I'm going to be using some wheat gluten, and you probably have already seen me use this, and I'm using the Hodgson Mill brand, and you can get this on Amazon. You can get it out here in Publix, Whole Foods, any of those supermarkets you can find it. I also have some yeast, some sugar, and if you don't want to use sugar, you could use some agave nectar or some honey. It depends on your preference. I have water, whole milk, and I'm starting off with 3 cups of flour. After, we'll add more to see how much we need. So let's get started on putting this together. So to your mixing bowl, you're going to put in the milk, the water, and you want to make sure that both milk and water, they're lukewarm. You don't want it screaming hot and you don't want it cold, because we want to activate the yeast. Add in the sugar. Now give this a mix to dissolve that sugar. Now sprinkle in the yeast and mix that. Now make sure when you're using yeast, you want to make sure it's fresh, because if you had old yeast, this bread will not raise and proof properly. Now I'm going to add in the wheat gluten. Give that a mix. And now I'm adding in the 3 cups of flour, and I'm using bread flour for this, but you can use all-purpose or you can use a combination of whole wheat and white flour. It all depends on what you prefer. Now I'm going to put on my dough attachment or my dough hook, and I'm going to beat this until it comes together. I'm just going to stop this for 1 minute to tell you all and show you all. You see how soft that dough is in there? That's how you want it to be. You want it to be very, very soft. So if you add your flour and it comes together like a dough ball and it's not soft and sticky like this, like really, really wet, just add about a 1/4 cup of water or warm milk until you get it to this consistency. So the longer you let it beat, the more the gluten is going to form, and once that gluten forms, that is what's going to get your bread to be very, very soft and springy. Okay, so this is finished mixing. Let me show you guys. You see how soft and how sticky that is? That's what you want. So what you're going to do now is you're going to cover this, and what I like to do is I take a cup of boiling hot water, and I'm going to put it right next to the bowl, and I'm going to cover this like so, so that steam from that hot water will help the dough in here to rise. Now if you wanted to, you could put this in your oven with the same cup of water, or you put the cup of water just before you put the bread in, and that will warm up the oven and help you proof your bread faster. So I'm going to leave this covered for about 30 minutes before we move on to the next step. Wow, look how that flour in there has risen really beautifully. So I'm just going to put this to mix to send it down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add enough salt in here to taste, and you put as much or as little salt as you want. I'm putting in some melted butter, and if you didn't want to use butter, you can use some canola oil or any type of shortening that you like. I'm just going to give this a mix. I just want to scrape down the sides of the bowl just to get that flour to come down. Okay, just mixing it a little more. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding flour, like 1 cup at a time, and you're going to add flour until this comes together into a soft dough. So depending on the type of flour you use and the brand of flour you use, you may use 1 cup, you may use 2 cups, you may use 1.5, 2.5. So you have to eyeball this, and I'll show you guys what I'm looking for when it comes together for me. And it's already coming together pretty quickly with just that 1 cup of flour. Okay, so I just put in another cup and I'm going to mix that in. Okay, you see how the flour came together into a dough? That's how you want it, and it mustn't be sticking to the sides of the bowl. It must actually come together like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to beat this on high for about 10 minutes to help the gluten form from the other set of flour that we added to this. Okay, so this is finished. I'm just going to take this out of the mixing bowl and put it onto my countertop. Okay, so here I have my dough. I'm just putting a little bit of butter on my hands so that it doesn't stick and I don't have to use any extra dry flour. And it feels so supple and so smooth. So guys, when you knead this properly and you let that gluten form, you're gonna have the best bread. Just go look at some of my other bread videos, or coconut turnover, coconut rolls, and you'll see. You see how beautiful the dough came out. So I'm just gonna knead this on the counter for about 5 minutes with my hands. Okay, just bring it into a log and you're gonna separate this into 2 pieces. Now you're gonna form it into a dough ball. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just slightly open this out because I want to form it into that loaf shape. Just roll it up like so, just to help form it into that loaf shape. Place this into your greased loaf pan. Make sure and grease it properly because you don't want it to stick. Okay, so here are my 2 loaves. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take another cup of hot boiling water, put it right in between both loaves. Now you can put this in your oven as I said, but I'm doing it on the countertop because the house is nice and warm today. And I'm going to cover this with this cloth and I'm going to let that 2 loaves proof. Okay, so let's check our bread. The oven just came up to temperature and it has risen really beautifully. So I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes until they're nice golden brown and they're cooked. So the 2 loaves of bread just came out of the oven and it actually took 25 minutes. What I want to do now is I want to take it out of the loaf pan and place it on a wire rack. And you see how beautiful it looks? Absolutely perfect. And you see, once you grease your pans, it comes out pretty easily. Now if you wanted to gild the lily and butter this, you can, but I don't want to add any additional butter. I'm just going to cover this and allow it to rest and allow that bread to cool down. Because if you were to cut into hot bread, it's going to get very doughy or very soft inside and it's going to look like if it's not cooked. So you have to let it cool down, otherwise it will collapse when you're cutting it. Okay, now that the loaves have cooled down, I just want to cut into it so you all can see how it looks like on the inside. You see how soft it is? And if you wanted to leave this whole and didn't want to slice it up right away, I suggest once it's cooled down, you just place it into a plastic bag or a Ziploc bag, something that's airtight, and it's going to keep this bread soft for a few days. Now you want to be very careful and use a serrated knife, because if you were to use a flat edge knife, you would mash down on the bread, and you don't want to do that. Can you all see how soft this bread is? It's super, super, super soft. and it's gonna stay soft for days if you put it in that plastic bag. So guys, here you have it, my sandwich loaf or loaf bread, white loaf bread recipe. You guys have been asking me for the longest while to make one. I already have a semi whole wheat one, which I'll leave the end card for the end of this video, so make sure go check that out. It's a really nice recipe also. So guys, if you like this recipe, please give it a try and let me know down below if you like it. Thank you all for watching. If you're new to my channel, I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you all another day with another one of my recipes. Enjoy!